All right, good morning, everybody. Going to do a video. It's Thursday. It's January 29th. Month's almost over. We are going to give you an update on everything. I know I haven't been doing videos, but we've been doing a lot of stuff in the background. We've been dealing with a lot of stuff. I'm going to go through some stuff this video to catch everybody up. And first, we're going to start with the numbers. So we're at 14,000 month to date. Last month, I believe we were over 24. So we're actually under based on last month. We did not have any special days open for certain things that would boost up our sales, except for our bins. So we do Thursdays. Today we are going to open. We do have our bin stocks. I'll show you what that looks like. We don't have any mystery boxes left because that's what kind of gave us the bump last month. So basically 1,200 items left my store this month. And clothes 591, and I'll go over there and show you guys how we have it set up. Bins, we did 484 items. Pallets, we've sold 2. So we have a 3PL right now in the store, and we're getting a lot of people coming in and saying, first of all, they don't really understand what's going on with them, even though we explain to them, what can be on these pallets. You can see some of the items, but so what I decided to do was I yesterday and the day before and this week, I spent, I think, close to $25,000 on inventory. I'm bringing in 2 truckloads of Costway. Those are going to be reseller pallets at $300 a piece. We're hoping that what that's going to do is show our customers the difference between different types of pallets. And I'll give another video on that when those come in. There's supposed to be 1 truck coming today and 1 truck coming tomorrow. We did buy an Amazon load, and that is going to be more for reselling. It's going to be manifested. A lot of my customers that have been contacting me because I made some posts on some pallets. I think I had over 100 people contact me, and probably about I think that I remember 10 people come in and actually look at the pallets I got, and they basically walked out the store and said, these aren't for us. And I don't know if their expectations are off. I think that that's what it is, because this is kind of like a new thing. There is another guy selling pallets probably about 40 minutes from me, and but my pallets are totally different. So what I need to be doing is I need to be educating my customers on the different types of pallets, and I'm going to start getting into that more for that. But basically, I'm hoping that these pallets that are coming in are gonna start driving my traffic with all these resellers. So basically, back to what I was saying with the manifested pallets, we have some Amazon coming in. Those are going to be sold at a percentage, and we're not going to be marking up crazy on them. I believe that there's like 2 toy pallets, there's 2 or 3 home goods, and then there's 2 pet. There's a health and beauty, but we take those for our bins. And then I think there's another category I forgot. Automotive. So we're going to manifest them. We're going to sell them at a percentage. I'm going to basically, everybody who contacts me about them, I'm going to spend time with them to understand what their needs are and how they're selling. So I'm going to make sure that the people that are trying to do like whatnot and all that understand that these pallets do have low-hanging fruit in them. And I'm going to explain to them how I used to do it when I first started with grabbing the manifest and taking a look at how many items are actually going to sell to pay back for this load. So I'm going to be teaching my customers one at a time, my best practices. And I think that that's what I'm going to focus on, guys, with this whole thing is just one by one. As people contact me, I'm going to say, hey, yeah, I got pallets for sale, but I'm also going to consult you and give you the best knowledge that you can get. And that's not going to be something I'm going to charge for. That's going to be something that's going to be included. And hopefully what happens is the customers that come in to buy my pallets, they see the value in that part of it, because not a lot of places do that around here because there's not any pallet sellers. So first, before we get into the store, I'm going to show you my back area, right? So this is my eBay listing area. It's a little bit of a mess, but I am going to show you that our bin stuff for our home health and beauty, we're actually going through the stuff because there's a lot of toothbrushes and stuff like that in there, razors. And over here, we're kind of laying it all out and testing this stuff. And basically, I tell my customers, hey, it's not going to be new, but it is going to be like new. I'm not going to put stuff out there that's garbage. So if there's something that's like disgusting and shows that it's been used, even like the slight thing where I can't say this is like new. I'm not even going to put it out there. So that's going to kind of be like part of the whole deal is when we get these loads in for the health and beauty, we're not going to be putting everything out there like junk. And then when you see my bins, you're going to see what I'm talking about. So we're going to start with the pallets, right? So here's all the pallets laid out here. The value is there. I know it as a fact because I'm looking at all these pallets and I'm seeing the price that we put on them. You know, $400 for a 7-foot pallet, guys. Just by looking at this, there's stuff that you can't really see. You got some nastiness going on here. These are the questions that you need to be asking. So when you buy these types of loads, guys, first of all, you got to find out if they're coming direct. You got to make sure that they're not being built because a lot of times people are taking these loads, and I believe these are like 4 loads. They're building them, but they're also taking the goods for themselves, and then that leaves you with like box 1 of 2 and incompletes. And then as you can see, this one right here, there's some stuff sticking out the top. So what happens with that, when you're buying these loads unseen, you got to remember that when that kind of stuff happens, with that stuff sticking up there, perception is everything with the customers. So if they see stuff like that, they're going to basically be deterred right away, not even looking at anything else. They're going to basically walk past that pallet and they're going to say, you know what, this one looks like a bunch of junk, and you do not want that. You do not want pallets on your sales floor, same price on them, that vary when a customer walks up to it and what do they see. So basically, give you an idea, like this furniture right here is assembled. So I would position that as, hey, you don't have to assemble that. I don't know what the condition is, but just right off the bat, that's going to save you some time. Now, what you hope is when a customer walks up to these pallets and they see how many items are on here. I mean, this is taller than me, guys. So this is going to be an item or a pallet on here that you're going to see items that are bulky. You're going to see items that are smaller. And then it's basically when the customer walks up to this pallet, they need to see the value. So that's why I have it where you can walk around it. You can completely walk around my pallets. And yeah, that takes up a lot of sales floor, but what it does is it shows that you're trying to sell with integrity. So basically for me, as the store opens today and we get people looking back here, I need to be on these pallets. I need to be talking to them. I need to be finding out what platform they're selling on. Are they doing Facebook Marketplace? Are they doing whatnot? Are they doing eBay? And obviously these are bulky, so these aren't going to be your eBay or your whatnot. But again, we have those other pallets coming in that are manifested. I can say, hey, these aren't the right ones for you, but I do have these other ones. So the biggest thing that we're going to start doing is having a variety. I know that I'm going to be loading up on a lot of these types of pallets just because of the price points there. The costways I'm going to bring in are going to be $300. And basically, what that's going to do, that's going to give a lot to the customer to make, and then they're going to keep coming back. So that's my goal. My goal is within the next month to get our customers that are resellers in the door with the cheaper prices, get them hooked, and then that way when they start building their business, they can start asking me for the more premium stuff. Now, this guy right here is one of the pallets that came in that is totally loaded differently than those pallets out there. There's a mini split air conditioner on here. There's an air handler. There's like 3 of these air conditioners. There's a kegerator on here, and I believe there's a kids ride on too. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna watch the pallet sales on the 3PL on this 3PL, and this weekend we got 3 days that we're going to be open. Now for some reason, if I get a bunch of people in and they start buying these other costway loads or pallets and they skip these, that tells me that these pallets need to be broken down, and the next step for me is to start auctioning them. Now when that happens, guys, you got to remember you're basically what you got into it. You just got to make sure that you understand that you could lose, and that's what we're gonna have to understand is how many items do we have total, what would be like a rolling average on our auction, and then once we get going, just understand that if we don't hit that target of what we paid for that load, it's a possibility that we're going to lose on it. And then that's a lesson to be learned. So I didn't ask enough questions, guys. I didn't ask on these things. I didn't ask if they're direct. I didn't ask, they say that they're direct, but how are they direct? Are they coming from another warehouse that's building them? Are they actually coming from the 3PL? Are these going to be something where, it might be the last load that they have and this is the one that no one wanted? Stuff like that. And then, I did get shorted 2 pallets, but he did make it right by giving me a credit. not a credit, a refund actually. And that's another thing too. If you buy a truckload, you have to make sure how many pallets are you going to get, what's the shipping cost, what are you going to pay per pallet landed, and then what are you going to projected sell it for. So for our case, we actually got lucky. We got the refund on the 2 pallets that were missing. I'm still not happy with the load because we've already been open well enough, long time enough to actually have people come in and actually buy more than 2 pallets. And I didn't get any feedback on the 2 pallets that were purchased, but I do know that one guy did drive from over an hour away to pick it up. So hopefully I'll be hearing back from him soon. Hopefully he'll give me some good feedback. The other person is, a person that bought it, somebody that actually does pallets and has been doing it for years. And basically she purchased from me because, she didn't feel like driving a long distance to get her pallets when she was usually buying them from somebody that was over an hour away or 2 hours away from her. So and then she did give me feedback on some of the stuff so far, just a little bit though, just from what we saw. So that's good news, but it's still not enough news. So we have 3 more days until the end of the month, selling days. So it's Thursday. Today's gonna be $14 a day. Tomorrow's gonna be $7 a day, and Saturday is gonna be $4 a day. Now, $4 a day, guys, has been the busiest that we've ever been since we opened. What's good about that is we are starting to get customers in that really see the value. But what happened was we had a snow day that slowed down our traffic on the first day that we or first weekend that we reopened. So basically, what we need to do now is we need to get a running tally on these sales, and we need to determine if our $14 day is too high, which I feel like it needs to be at $14 to get us the amount from these loads. But if you're not getting the sales, that tells you one thing, tells you your price is too high. So here we go. This is going to be our bins. We, as you can see, as we go through this stuff, we pull it all out of the packages. We make it look kind of neat. We give our customers a really good view of what's going on with these. And then what I'm going to do later today is I'm actually going to do a Facebook Live in my group, and I'm going to be pointing out some heavy hitters in here. We're also going to, since we have a manifest, we're going to pull up all the $69.99 and lower items that are on that list and just run that through the screen just so people can see what are in these. Now, most of the stuff that's going to draw attention are these. This is all makeup and stuff. So on the $4 day, I had a customer come in that sells online, and she bought $100 worth of $4 items just to get her started, because I heard that the HBA stuff is actually really tricky to get because mostly what's out there is the cheaper stuff, but we actually have the premium stuff. So I'm hoping that that's going to get more people interested in this offering, and we can keep it going. Now, this is the second week that we've done this home health and beauty. What we're going to do, guys, is next week, I actually have a truck coming that's going to be basically a target load. And the target load is going to be a high piece count, but it's also going to have stuff that I can do VIP on, which is where I just basically look up on eBay. And let's say we start at like a 30% of retail estimate, and then we round up to the nearest 10. So and then I cross-check that with eBay. So yeah, there's processing involved, guys, but as much as I say it, the last stage that we were in and we were doing categories, that was so much more processing. Like if I did like a home improvement load, there was a lot of stuff in here that you had to like really go through. This stuff, it's clean. It's basically you could take it right off the pallet, pull it out of the little package, and then just throw it in the bin, and just make sure that you kind of know the brands that you're gonna be looking out for. So that's kind of like our best practice on the bins. For our situation is we're trying to be more of a higher end bin store. Somebody did make a comment that they went to a bin store down the street, and it was all junk, and I'm like, please don't compare us to other bin stores, because we are actually taking time to go through this stuff. We're taking it out of the packages. We don't have the brown boxes. The stuff that's in our bins are actually stuff that you can use and you can see. So, and we're more welcome our customers to bring it to the register, and we will open it for them if they want. And a lot of our customers appreciate that. So we're basically trying to sell with integrity, and that's how we're trying to build our following, guys. Okay, so here's our clothing. We added another watermelon next to it because we're actually pulling clothing off of our eBay. The eBay stuff was more premium. We're pulling everything that we saw that got raced to the bottom on eBay. So basically, because of all this inventory going out there, guys, now we got people that are selling the same stuff as us, and basically what they're doing is they're racing to the bottom with the price to get the sale. Now that's dangerous because what that happens is you got a $20 item. We're actually doing free shipping. So by the time you add that free shipping, somebody out in California orders it, and we're in Illinois, there goes half your money right up the front, then or right up the top. And then what you have to do is you have to figure in the cost, right? And then you got to figure in the labor. So after everything, you're $5, and then you're like, okay, well, is this even worth it? It wasn't. So we're pulling it off the eBay, we're putting it into the bins. The customers are walking into our store and they're seeing brands that we haven't had before. Because when we actually reopened with a whole different inventory lineup. I mean, just an example, these right here, these were something that we weren't selling before. These bluey zip up hoodies. Now they're in the bins. Now they're $5. Our margins right now are 68%, and that's good because that's higher than it was before. So we just got to kind of watch the margins. We got to watch the stuff that's going out and make sure that we're not throwing anything out here that shouldn't be out here. But again, by the time you got through the sale on some of this stuff, I mean, there's Levi's jeans. You weren't making money at $20, and it's sad that that's how low those values are. But that's what's going on. So I do have Columbia's. So those are going to be 10. So yeah, and then there's not going to be any deals anymore with like buy four get one free like we did before. It's either the customer takes it or they leave it. And from what we're seeing, they are taking it. And a lot of times we're seeing the same people that come in every week with our last model coming in here now and actually being happier with the selection that they have. It doesn't look like much. We're not by the size like we used to be. We used to organize these by size, but they're in the bins, they're digging through it. And sooner than later, if we continue this whole model, we're going to have to figure that part of it out once we start getting more clothes. But ideally, what's going to happen is this stuff's going to move steadily out as we're putting it in. So there's that. So back to what I was saying with what we're getting today and tomorrow, 52 pallets of Costway. Those are going to go right here. So all this area right here. I do have a middle space right here in the middle of the store. We're going to put those there, and then all the pallets are going to go right here. And then I'm also going to put pallets over here, because we do have to spread them out. So I'm not sure until we start laying these out exactly how this is going to look, but I'm pretty sure that this is about the space that I need. And having 3 trucks on hand is good for having variety. And then right here by the register, we're going to put the Amazon. So this is all going to be right here back to back. I believe there's going to be 11 to 13 pallets that are going to be reseller pallets. We're going to clear wrap the top of it and just put signs on there. Don't be trying to dig in this, because remember, all they got to do is open that pallet, grab a couple things, and think that we're going to not see that shouldn't be in the bin. So we're going to have that separate. So we got the bins over there on there, and then we're going to have the pallets over here next to the register so we can watch our customers for that. So just a whole new model, guys. We're trying. Update on the location. All right, so yeah, I should have said some of this in the beginning, but let's talk about the location. All right, so we had a lot going on with people contacting us that's involved with the situation. The village came in on Friday, and they were like, "What are you guys doing? Like, I thought you guys were moving out." And we're like, "Yeah, we thought so too." So they basically didn't give us any information on why they came in. There was 2 of them. They kind of played it off like they were just in the area, and they wanted to stop by. They saw that our doors were open, so they wanted to see what's going on. Now, yesterday, I got a text from the landlord, and basically, the permits are already completed, guys. The people that are taking over the space, their permits are approved. That's probably why the village came in and was wondering, why are these permits approved and you guys are still here? So we kind of gave them the explanation that we could without telling too much information, because there's a lot of stuff that's going on that I can't really legally talk about. But I basically gave them the knowledge that I could. And it turns out that they were there because they probably just approved those permits and they're wondering why they're not moving forward. We did hear that because of what's going on, the resolution has not been completed with the next step. So at any time, guys, we can be given a 45-day notice. Now, keep in mind, I have 66 pallets on the way. Next week, I have another 26. My store is getting filled back up, right? I'm going to show you the next video with all the pallets in there, and hopefully they move. But if they don't, we're going to have a whole store full of stuff. So what that's going to mean is if we get that 45-day notice, first of all, I'm going to be pretty upset because, like we're sitting here trying to survive, and now we're, being told, now we got to go. So more to come on that, guys. And if you can't believe what's going on, I can't believe it either. I've never heard of this scenario where a company has been in a space and they're being put through such a whirlwind that we have. It's total unnecessary. The parties involved that are hurting my business. At some point are going to have to speak to why they thought that was okay. But at this time, that's not going to be a conversation. But at a certain point, when this is all over, I am going to have to say something and understand where their thought process was, where they can hinder a business like they did. Because remember, we liquidated it in November, right? Sold a lot of stuff at a loss. December, we weren't even open. And then January, we opened on my birthday on the 17th. So tell me, guys, when you stop buying inventory, right before the fourth quarter starts, tell me how you're going to survive. And I can't believe we survived as long as we have. So it's an interesting situation. I would just say basically, if you're watching, go back and watch my other videos. Look at what my store used to look like. Look at what it looks like now. And then when I get these trucks in the next week, you're going to see how fast. Well, actually, it wasn't that fast. It took me about a month to get the inventory, a little bit over a month to get the inventory. So, but it's going to show you guys like what when you're going through a situation like this, what's involved with getting back going, changing your business model, because that's what we did. We went from a whole full-blown retail categories, processing the loads based and then make it based on retail. Now we're going to be doing something where it's a small offering, clothes and health and beauty, and then now we're going to be doing pallet sales to transition into our next step, which is a warehouse. And it's going to be pallet sales, and then we're going to also have an offering for that. So here's our back area. It's pretty clean. There's a lot to be done back here. I think I need to spend at least 3 hours sometime the next couple of days to get this cleared out, because there's going to be a truckload of Target. We are planning on having an event on Valentine's Day. I actually paired up with a local rescue, and we're going to do a pet adoption, right? So what I did was I grabbed a Target load that has pet stuff in it. We're going to save all that stuff until next Thursday, start putting it out. We're going to start releasing for the $14 day, like all the cages and, all the stuff that's higher ticket items in that, like the automatic cat litter boxes and stuff like that. And then we're going to kind of let that flow to the $4 day, which is the Saturday, which is Valentine's Day. And then we're going to have a pet adoption event. So we're going to start the marketing now. And they're basically posting stuff. We're posting stuff. And then what we're going to try to do is spread out the advertisement. We're going to talk to the chamber. We're really going to have a really good Valentine's Day sales wise, I believe, because that's our $4 day, which has always been the busiest. Pair that with a pet adoption. Pair that with pet items that they can buy really cheap. I think there's a bunch of pajamas in this load, so we're gonna do like a deal on that. And then we're really just gonna create some excitement with February for these guys. I know it's halfway through the month and it doesn't help us now, but you remember, you can't just have an event like that and have it successful without putting the time into it. So that's what we are going to be working on. So so this area here, yesterday I was moving some pallets out of the way. I made a straight line down here. This is the the other side of the building that we're going to put pallets here too. So that looks pretty straight and clear. I think the biggest thing is just tidying everything up. I've been working on the tech bay, getting that so I can list. I did start listing over the week, and I just got to continue to do that, and I just got to continue to manage my time, which is another thing. When you have all these items thrown at you or situations, you get sidetracked, right? So the whole thing with me not being able to make any good buys because prices are going crazy, inventories going up and down. You just got to manage your time and figure out, when you have these types of situations, what fires you have to put out first. And that's kind of like what I've been doing. There's been a lot of fires. It doesn't sound like it, but every day there seems to be a problem. And even though that we're not pushing volume and we're not, doing a lot of processing, there's still things in the background that we're dealing with. So yeah, this area right here, this is where all that target's going to go. We're going to line all that stuff up and make it look nice and pretty. And then when I do my video with that, that should bring in some people. I think there's just going to be a crazy switch over once that week hits, the second week in February. I think that we're going to see a lot of stuff, and we do need to get some sales because there's a lot of purchases that we made. 66 plus another 26. I mean, that's a lot of pallets, guys, plus the 22 that I got back there, and then plus all my clothing. I got like almost 2 trucks of clothing. So we have the inventory. We just need the traffic. We need the resellers to understand that we're here, and that's basically what my focus needs to be. So yeah, that's what we're working on, guys. Hopefully that wasn't an earful for you, and hopefully you guys can go back and take a look at some of my videos and just kind of do a comparison. Now next week is going to be an animal. When you see our store next week, you're gonna be like, wow, you're loaded back up. And hopefully that works out for you. And yeah, I get it. So that's what we're hoping to. So thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, put some comments in there. Just remember, the story's not over. We're just begun. There's nothing like this going on out there. I know that some people are moving and getting bigger warehouses and stuff like that, but this store, we're going through some turmoil with our with basically our location, and hopefully we can get it through soon. We can just start focusing on 2026, because as it stands, guys, we are falling behind year over year big time. I mean, we are going to have some big numbers to make up. It's going to be even more motivating for me to get going once we get going. And I'm going to put as much into as I can, but you can't, some things you can't go get past. So like this whole thing with the building, we can't just say, okay, we'll take that out of the equation, because that's not how it works. We're kind of being held hostage in this situation. And like I said, when this is all over, there's going to be some stories on this out there for everybody to kind of decipher who was at fault. Did we do enough that we could, and who should be held accountable. So thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.